Welcome to Award-Winning Photography Explained. I'm your host, Manpreet, and this is a channel where we take a look at images that have won awards and been recognized by a panel of judges, and we invite the creators to come and talk about how they created the image. We take a deep dive and understand what went into capturing the image and what went into post-processing. Today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Jayme Dunn. Now, this is right out of a website, but it's pretty interesting. Jayme's passions include fine wine and whiskey, a well-curated playlist. So, if you're visiting Jayme, you know what to get her, right? And she's searching for the world's best shortbread. So if you're into making shortbread and you think you're the world's best, she's looking for you. She prides herself in her ability to parallel park. Okay. Now, on the official side, Jayme Dunn is a nationally accredited commercial and advertising photographer out of Vancouver, BC. And she specializes in fashion, beauty, and product shots. The image that we're going to talk about today is a very interesting special image. It's called The Splash of Nutri. And in fact, this image was the cover of is still the cover of the Professional Photographers of Canada's website. It received an excellent, a score of excellent in the National Image Competition for PPOC, that's Professional Photographers of Canada, in 2021. It was also the judge's choice, and it also helped Jayme become the commercial photographer of the year. Now, Jayme's got a whole list of awards to her name. From 2014, she was the Student Photographer of the Year. Till 2021, she was the Commercial Photographer of the Year. So, welcome to the show, Jayme.
Thanks. I was a finalist, not Photographer of the Year.
Okay, finalist. Correction there.
That's all right. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, next time. Well,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely my pleasure. Now, that was from your website, but tell us who Jayme Dunn really is. Who is the person behind the camera, and how did she get into photography? What got her interest in photography?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you covered a lot of it. The shortbread is a really important part. So, um, yeah, I forgot that I put that on my website. Yeah, I honestly, I can't remember a time that I really wasn't into photography. My family's always been the type of family who has photos, and we always had photo albums from when I was a kid, and my parents had some from when they were younger, and we always used to sit around and look through them, and it's always so fun to do. And you get to see photos of your parents doing things that you didn't think they'd be doing, all that stuff. And yeah, I kind of grew up around photography. My grandparents were also photographers, my mom's mom and dad, and they were also members of PPOC. Um, and yeah, I grew up around that. They were kind of not practicing anymore by the time I was old enough, but they were still interested in photography, and there was always images of theirs on the walls of their apartments and all that kind of stuff. And then my mother also was the PPABC, so PPOC British Columbia before we got nationalized. She was the executive director of PPABC. So I kind of grew up around PPOC as well. I was stuffing envelopes with the Gallery magazine when I was like 10, so kind of hard to avoid.
I know.
Yeah, and I kind of grew up with it. And then in high school, I got really involved. I got my first DSLR camera, a Canon T3i, and I joined the yearbook team, which involved a lot of layout, and we got to put together our whole school's yearbook. But then it also involved photographing a lot of the school's events and sports and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I did a lot of different stuff and learned a lot, and it was really fun. So I just continued on, and after high school, I took a gap year and traveled, and then I moved up to Penticton and worked for Stuart Bish, who's also a member of PPOC, for 6 months, and then I went to college at Langara for photography, and yeah, that was a 2 year program, and I didn't hate it by the end of that. So, and here I am.
Now, this image, the splash of Nutri, this is
Mm.
an image that it's difficult to turn the page when you see this image. You're absolutely drawn into it. And the clarity, the simplicity with which the image comes through. And as a photographer, your first thought goes to, how was this done? And that's why we have Jayme here today. So, Jayme, how was this done?
A lot of patience. Um, yeah, so I've done a few of these splash images. I love doing high speed stuff. It's just such a fun challenge for me, and this image was done in my bathroom. Actually, I've got a behind the scenes video I'll show you in a bit, but it was done in my bathroom, and we just had a tank of water, like a fish tank, and I had my partner just drop the can in about a million times. We got this image. And then it was a lot of Photoshop. So I can walk you through, I have all the raw images, and then I can walk you through how I put together if you'd like.
Excellent. Cannot wait. Take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is the final image. This is the one that I entered in competition and that got judge's choice and all that. I'm really going to expose photographers here because this is way nicer than the raw images. But it's kind of fun to see how it was built up. So I'll go through them. So like I said, I shoot many, many, many photos when I'm doing this kind of image. You kind of have to. Um, so I shot it with, I had just got my Photo B1Xs, and they have a freeze mode on them. So they actually have a high speed mode. So it freezes these splashes so that they're sharp. All these little droplets are sharp. Yeah, so you kind of have to drop the can in about a million times and then pick and choose which pieces you're going to put together. So,
So you're actually anticipating when to click rather, you didn't have any sort of
yes.
trigger trap.
No, we were
No.
just timing it. It was like three, two, one, drop.
Nice. And I understand you,
Yeah.
even if you use regular, like, regular flashes, like camera flashes, and you take them off camera, you can also get a high speed with them.
You can, yeah, it depends on the flash. So what matters is the flash duration has to be
Yes.
really, really small.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so it depends on the light, but yeah, you can definitely do it with
Excellent.
other lights.
Excellent.
It's by no means that a Profode is the only way, but that's what I
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
So this is one
Okay.
of the images. You can see it looks a lot different
Yeah.
than the final image, but yeah, like I said, we had this fish tank, and I think it was actually like a snake tank or something like that. But anyways, and it's set up in my bathtub, so this is the edge of my bathtub, and we've got a white background behind it.
How wide was the tank?
It's probably, I think it was like a 20-inch wide tank,
Okay.
so not crazy, but enough space. It wasn't a, I mean, it's a can, right? So it's not too big.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah. So this is one of the images. I pulled, uh, I think this side. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I think I pulled this left side for the splash in the final image.
Uh-huh.
So that was one of them. And then another one, like I pulled part of this right side for it. Obviously, you can see the can is like lower down than in the final image. So this is just capturing the splash upper part. And then there's another one that had part of a splash. I think that might have been again for the left. And then to get just a clean shot of the can, I have my partner just hold it underneath the water with the label. Because in product
Mm-hmm.
photography, you really want the label and the product to shine. And so you need to have the whole front label with the clean logo and all that kind of stuff. So that was how we got that. And then we dropped some lemons in because I wanted to, the neutral drink was lemon flavored. So I wanted to have a little bit of fruit accent in there. And I think that's the final lemon bit part that I used. But yeah, so we did that as well as the can. So we did that separately from the can. We tried to do it together a few times, like you see here, but then it worked better to just drop the lemon slices in by themselves. So then we go from that
Yeah.
to that. No, maybe to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started with, I mean, as you can see, it looks terrible, right? But yeah, you can see I grabbed a bunch of different things. I've got a lot of layers on the side here. I work with layers so that I can always go back and edit just a specific part if I need to. Always just a good rule of thumb in Photoshop, and I always try and label them too. I didn't do very well on that this time, but that's okay. So yeah, I started with just one of the base splashes and kind of worked up from there. So this is just the base, and then I used content aware and edited out a bunch of the extra stuff. So there was a label on the tank, and I wanted to expand the bottom. And this, I think, is my tripod leg or light stand leg on the side. So I edited all that out. And then I also took out some of the can. I knew I would be replacing the can with the full shot, but wanted to get rid of some of that. And then I just started piecing together the splashes. So that was the right hand one from one of the images. And I got the left hand one there. And then I just started retouching a lot of the splotchiness that was in this because with water and splashes, it kind of creates odd shadows and stuff like that. It's like when you're looking in a pool, you can see kind of the ripples on the bottom of the pool. So it kind of creates all that. So just kind of retouching those out, brightening things up. And that was the full can shot that I needed. I masked that in. I brightened it up. I added the lemons. I brightened them up. And then I did just a whole brighten on that. And then I just put a border on it where I wanted to crop. So I kind of left the edges pretty messy when I was doing all the content aware filling and things like that. And then I put a border on it. I kind of moved the border around where I wanted to crop it. And then I eventually cropped it. And then what I usually do when I'm working on files like this is I do um, all of the compositing, and then I flatten it and keep this one saved with all the layers, but then I flatten it and open up a new file with the flattened image to do all of my color and extra adjustments. So this is that image. So it's all been flattened, and then I did some retouching. So I straightened out um, the water line there. I edited out some of that middle highlight that was distracting. Um, Again, I added reflections at the top there to make it a little more realistic because right now it looks like it's edited in. So now you can see the reflection there. I brightened up edges. I just kind of cleaned up where I'd masked everything in because I'd done it not quickly, but I'd done it not so carefully. So, and then yeah, just some color and brightness adjustments. I took out the magenta hue because everything was looking a bit pink. Uh, I desaturated my reds because there was some red fringing going on in the water, and I wanted it to just be completely clean white and the yellow be the only accent color. And added a bunch of contrast because I wanted that water to really feel tactile and pop. And added some more brightness, desaturation. Look, I've named this. I said desaturate weird colors. It's very technical. Um, Again, did more curves just to get these lines really, really crisp. I actually just added a little bit of blue to the water at the top just to make it look a little more like water, give it a little bit more of a cool look. Because I was feeling like it looked like I desaturated it completely, which I had. Just a little more realism in it. And then the final brightness. And that was the final image.
Nice. I love the way there are bubbles from the lemons, huh?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was a cool one. And that
yeah,
was total fluke. I mean, we just happened to catch that, and that was one shot. I didn't have to mask that in, which was great.
yeah. So did you also
Yeah.
require to just shoot a plain backplate to help you when you're retouching?
I didn't on this one, so I just worked on cleaning it all up. I brightened spots, I did content aware, I patched it, and all that stuff. In hindsight, if I was going to do this again, I would definitely try and do that because that was a lot of
Okay,
work. But
okay.
yeah.
And what?
And then I have a quick behind the scenes photo or video here
That's
just
what
to
we want to see.
show you the setup because it was a little ridiculous. I live in an apartment and I don't have a very large bathroom, so you can see my camera set up in the bottom here with the 70 to 200 millimeter lens and one pro photo up here. Just I have white walls, so I just fired it at the up at the wall to give a little bit of fill, and then this one was to highlight the can. And I'm tethered to my computer so that we could see kind of what it looked like. And my partner's hanging out there helping me. He wasn't sure what to expect. Yeah, so we shot in the bathroom, which is kind of funny.
Nice.
Everything's super cramped, and yeah, we had a so the background here is just it's just one of those five in
Collapsible.
one
Yeah.
collapsible things. We just held it up with a boom stand, which ended up working pretty well. My bathroom, as you can see, is like 1970s, very yellow. So I needed something back there, obviously, because I was a little noisy. But yeah, there's the tank. You can see how big it is. Those are two milk crates under it, so you can tell the size from that.
So is your partner also a photographer?
Yeah, we went to Langara College together, and
Nice,
he's
nice.
now he's now going back to school for engineering. But yeah,
Okay.
he still shoots sometimes. So
So tell us about the gear that you used. I know gear is this is not important, but a lot of our photographers who listen to the show are quite keen to know what gear you used, what camera, what lens, what tripod, what flashes you've already said, what laptop were you using, what softwares were you using?
yeah, for sure. So I have a Canon 5D Mark IV now, but back then, this image when I took it, it was a Canon 6D and a 70 to 200 millimeter 2.8 lens, which I think I was also testing. Actually, I think that lens was new back then too. So I was shooting with that. I was tethered. I used the tether tools cable to my Mac laptop. It's just a MacBook from 2013, I think it is. Um, and I like to shoot into Lightroom. I also use Capture One sometimes when I'm shooting for clients, but I tend to just use Lightroom. Um, and yeah, I had it set up. I have a Manfrotto 055 tripod, which is kind of the more popular one. I think a lot of people have it. But I really like it because you can extend the legs further than regular. So like in that behind the scenes video, I actually had, because I had it lower, I had the legs extended out and then the middle part raised a bit.
Nice.
And then Yeah, I was using just my Profoto trigger to trigger the lights. I already said Profoto B1Xs. And yeah, I think that was the only gear I
Right,
had in
right.
there. Yeah, I didn't have any fancy softboxes in there, mostly because we didn't have any space in the bathroom for a
True,
softbox.
true.
So I used the bathroom wall as a big softbox because I fired that one bare bulb just at the side of the wall.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But did you use any flats to darken the edges? Because I know it's not easy photographing water against white.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't this time, mostly because I didn't have room, but I've shot glassware before and things like that. And yeah, definitely you can put two black like V flats or anything like that on the sides. You saw how much contrast editing I did after the fact to darken up these parts in here because they weren't very crisp. Like I said, that crispness of the edges I wanted. So. But I was, able to, I shoot in RAW, so I was able to bring those blacks out.
And do you remember what settings you used to freeze the water?
I don't, but I will say that it's not so much about the speed of your camera, it is the light. So with the camera, you can only go up to a certain, well, unless you're using high speed sync, you can only go up to a certain shutter speed before you start seeing the shutter halfway down. So I'd have to look at my settings for this. I didn't for this, but I'd say I was probably around 1/160th. And then to get back to front sharpness, I was probably around f8, f11. Um, I usually shoot at ISO 100 if I can, and those lights are bright enough that I was probably around there.
So did you have to keep the ambient light low to not get any blur in the drops, or was there some amount of blur there?
No, there wasn't any blur. So the lights that I had, the Profoto B1Xs, have a freeze motion option. So it's actually a super, super short
Duration.
flash duration. Yeah. So I can't remember what the highest one is that
Okay.
those lights come at, but yeah, it's like just, it's a crazy, 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 like 1/120th or something like that. Like it's crazy, crazy short.
Yeah.
So that's how it freezes the water. It's not necessarily about the shutter speed of your camera.
Very nice. So you don't really need to go out and rent or hire a big studio to do something like this. You can, anybody
Apparently
can,
not. If
anybody
you're
can
okay
do
with
this.
Photoshop work.
Exactly, exactly. It's how you think of doing this. And you said that F11 kept your sharpness front to back. You
Yeah, F8 or F11, I usually shoot around that.
okay?
This is a composite too, so the lemons, like if I'd shot all of this in one shot,
Yeah.
I would have to be a little bit narrower aperture to get those in focus. But because it was a composite, I was dropping them kind of on the same plane, so they were both in focus.
So you were pre-focusing somewhere in the middle of the tank.
Yeah, so I had my partner hold the can in where we thought it was going to drop, and focused on that, and then I set my camera to manual focus so that it
Right.
doesn't change.
Nice. Beautifully
Yeah.
done.
Thank
Now,
you.
now this image I know has got you a lot of recognition, right? Has has that, entering competitions, getting the recognition, how have you utilized this in promoting your business?
Yeah, I mean, this image, so it ended up getting an excellence in PPOC Image Salon, which for those people watching who don't know, is like the highest level that you can get. There's four levels: not accepted, accepted, merit, and excellence. And so excellence is the highest score you can get, which was really exciting for me. Yeah, it was very cool. And it also got a Judge's Choice Award, which means one of the judges really liked it. Out of all like 600 images that they saw that weekend, mine was one of their favorites, which was really cool too. And then it also got accepted to the loan collection, which is at the end of every PPOC image salon. 40 of the top scoring images are selected for the loan collection, which becomes for the year like the best of Canadian photography. And it goes on the website and all that. So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. And yeah, so you get a press release when you receive an award in a PPOC competition. So I think last year, myself and two other photographers in Burnaby, Jillian Shadnoff and Jamie Poe, we all sent our press releases as a collective to a couple of local publications, and I think we ended up getting published, which was cool. So you get that out there, and then you also just get to kind of flaunt it on social media a little bit.
Nice, nice. I think
Um,
it also
it looks
gives,
impressive to people,
yeah,
so
it also gives confidence to a new client coming in, you know. And
definitely, yeah.
and the press release basically tells the world that Jamie has won this, or was awarded this, right?
Yeah, exactly. It just, the press release is sort of a pre-made blurb that kind of gives press and media all of the information they would need to do like
Hmm.
an article or a shout out kind of thing. So
Yeah,
it's pretty cool that they send that too.
yeah.
And then yeah, it looks great for clients. I get to put that I got a loan collection image on my website and I can post it on social media. And yeah, it gives you a certain amount of recognition. Even if people don't know what an excellence is,
Yeah,
it still looks impressive to people.
yeah, absolutely. So now you had mentioned you've graduated from Langara College, right?
Hmm.
Was I know a lot of photographers, they go through a lot of self-study and become photographers, but there's a difference getting formally educated. Would you say that has helped you a lot in establishing yourself as a professional? And is it something that you would advise somebody just starting out, wanting to get into photography? Would you guide them towards formal education or like a mentorship learning?
Right. I think it totally depends on the person. Like for myself, I'm not particularly self-motivated as far as learning goes. So like online courses and things for me, I like doing them and I have done them. I still do them, but learning it all just online, I just don't think was going to quite work for me. And I knew somebody at the college. I knew about the college program through PPOC, and I knew a lot of really successful photographers who had gone through the program. And yeah, I just felt like it was the best thing for me. It was a 2-year program, and you kind of go from like the basics of photography, like the basics, all the way to learning studio and Photoshop work and compositing and lighting, and then business practices. Like we had as part of our curriculum a couple of marketing and entrepreneurship courses, which is really awesome to have just that.
Yeah, much required because a lot of courses don't mention business part of it, and it's a shock.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you graduate and all of a sudden they're like, here, good luck. You're like, ah.
So you would really give
So
kudos to Langara. They have a good program there.
yeah, they definitely do. But at the same time, it's not for everybody. I know a ton of people who are completely self-taught and are amazing and know their stuff,
Yeah,
and it just works for them. But for me, it was really nice to have that structured school time.
nice. And it was a 2-year program.
2-year program, yeah. Langara also has a continuing studies program, and you can space it out a little bit more. I think the 2-year program now you can do in 3 as well. But yeah, it was an intense program, but it was also really good. And I think it also exposed me to more photography. So when I first went in there, I was like, I'm going to be a wedding photographer. I'm going to photograph kids. I'm going to photograph families and like all this stuff. And then it kind of brought me into the world of commercial photography. And I found out that I really, really loved working for clients and shooting products and hanging out in the studio and like figuring out a problem like this splash image for hours, and shooting that kind of thing, I really, really, really love. So that
Oh,
helped me a lot.
wow. That I learned so much today. Thank you so much, Jayme, for
No
going
problem.
through the behind the scenes and explaining how you achieved that incredible image. Now, if
Thanks.
anybody wants to hire you or follow you or see some of your work, what's the best place they can do so?
Yeah, you bet. So I have a website, obviously. I run Jayme Dunn Photo is my company, so it's jamiedunnphoto.com. And then I'm also Jayme Dunn Photo on Instagram, and you can find my email and everything on my website as well.
Nice. I'll be putting all those links in the show notes as well. So
Okay, perfect.
you can obviously reach her there. So,
Awesome.
well, thank you so much, Jayme. This has been such a pleasure, and looking forward to your next entry now.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Thanks for having me, Manpreet. This is
you're,
great.
you're welcome.